Welcome to the Personal Injury Law Show. This is a show that talks about everything relevant in the law of personal injuries and of importance to you, the viewer. My name's Tony Carbone, personal injury lawyer, 30 years experience. With me tonight I've got John Karantzis, a partner in a law firm in workers' comp. Good evening, John.
Hi, Tony. Hi, viewers.
And Don Maffia, the partner in a law firm dealing with transport accidents. Good evening, Don.
Good evening, Tony. Good evening, viewers.
Tonight, viewers, we're going to be talking about big, bad bullies, and we're very fortunate to have Oscar Yildiz, who's the CEO of Bully Zero. So please stay tuned for that.
However, Tony, before we get to that, what's in the news?
John, there's been a lot of stories in the news. We're at the AFL again. Don, this is a case where a young Brisbane footballer gets outside the playing field onto the grass or artificial grass, falls over, badly damages his knee. Now he's suing. Tell us a bit more about the facts of this case.
He got caught on the surface, so artificial turf at the Etihad Stadium, but he got caught on the outside of the surface. So it sounds like the surf has gone right to the edges, and because of that, sustained a very nasty knee injury. And it just appears to be, again, an unsafe surface at Etihad.
So the question, Tony, here is you have the normal surface, and then you've got the commencement of the artificial surface at the edge of the ground.
Yes.
Now, apparently, and the video footage shows that he's stepped onto the artificial surface, it's clipped onto his shoe, and he's fallen over.
Yeah, and it's effectively jarred his knee in the process.
Exactly.
After the event, the Etihad Stadium managers have engaged a biomechanic.
Yes.
Is that to fault his claim? Because really, the biomechanic, if he comes back and says it's no different to the normal turf, you won't get compensation, will you?
Look, John, see, if you look at the footage, you can clearly see it.
Yeah,
so what's a biomechanic going to say? And I just think, isn't it just, rather than just getting biomechanics, wouldn't it be quite evident if you just walk around and have a look at it and just feel it to see the difference? You surely, it doesn't matter how much money you can spend, just someone go out there and you can see that there is a difference in the surface.
Don, that sounds too logical.
And obviously too cheap, baby, but
so effectively they're suing for his game.
Lost game payments of over $4,000 per game, Tony. A claim could be worth at least $100,000.
Okay, and if this was a footballer in the elite status,
well,
could have been worth $1 million bucks. Who knows?
Exactly.
Well, hopefully he gets back to playing.
Yeah. He's a young guy. Let's hope he makes a speedy recovery. All right, let's keep moving. The Dallas Buyers Club. Have you seen the show, Don?
I've seen the movie. Yes.
Yeah, good movie, isn't it?
But I haven't actually. I should say I hide it, so I did the right thing. Unlike some people.
I'm sure Tony downloaded it, didn't you?
No, I don't know how to do it.
Do you know?
I don't know how to
do you know how to download?
No, not at all. That's what it's about. In the federal court, viewers, the people that produced the movie took iNet to court.
Yes.
To get the list of people that have downloaded the movie.
Yes.
What's the court done, John?
They've allowed it, Tony.
They've given them the names.
Exactly.
So effectively that means now they can sue each individual person that has downloaded the movie for breach of copyright.
That's right.
Technically, yes.
So what are they suing for? $7,000 apparently?
No, well, in America, where that's been already released, some IP addresses, what the owners of Dallas Private Club has done is sent what's called speculative invoice. So I say to you, Tony, I can sue you for $150,000, but I'm not going to do that if you pay $7,000 now. So it's giving you an invoice.
That's extortion.
Well, it's something that cannot be allowed in Australia.
Yeah.
I mean, and I doubted that a federal court would allow that to happen.
Well, the federal court judge said that if you want to pull that stunt, you've actually got to go through him. Is that correct?
Exactly.
So really now what's left is that they still can go ahead and sue the individuals.
Yes.
But what's their damage? What, loss of a hire of the movie, $750 or whatever it's called now? Or
they
talking
say
more?
It's an illegal download of a particular film, which they want to stop.
But then that's more of a punitive damage rather
It's a
than
speculative claim, really.
Well, that's the whole thing,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
more. I guess it's more for punitive.
I think so.
A fine. You downloaded my movie illegally. I
Well,
fine.
viewers, we'll have to come back to this because no doubt there's going to be
Tony,
a
unfortunately,
sequel to it.
Australians are one of the largest downloaders of movies in the world.
Let's keep moving. John, in France, the hostages want to sue the media. This is the people that actually were in the Jewish supermarket.
Yes.
And 4 people died in this incident.
Yes.
And they're saying that because they allowed the media to come in, it put them in jeopardy for their lives.
Well, the media, during the hostage crisis, was showing live on television what was happening.
What was unfolding?
Allowing the actual terrorists to actually see it themselves and putting their own lives at risk.
Don, do you think that by the media doing that, it sort of made these jihadists, or whatever you want to call them, extremists, more conducive to executing them?
Well, you know what the hostages were doing. If they were hiding, then you're giving up the hiding spot. It's like a hide and go seek game.
Yeah. Well,
you got
that's a
the
good point.
broadcaster and they're watching it because they had access to it.
Although at the same time, Tony, in the end, what's the damage? Because they actually
It's
survived.
mental shock.
They actually did survive.
Although, what about the psychological?
Well, it would have added on. I suspect it would have added on a bit more injury to the mental anguish. Because you think about it, John. If you're hiding from a terrorist and then all of a sudden your hiding spot's given up by the media,
Yes.
it puts your lives in that extra risk. I mean, admittedly, their lives were at risk.
Psych injuries.
I mean,
psych.
look, we want freedom of the media, but there has to be a bit of responsibility here.
Yeah, well,
That's right.
the police should probably have a bit to responsibility for this too, because they should have stopped them from being right in the thick of it. Don't you think?
Ideally.
Yeah. Anyway, this could be something we'll follow up in due course
yes.
too. What about these crazy bouncers, John? This guy has obviously assaulted one of them.
It's a shocking story, Tony. It's in Queen Street, Melbourne. Bouncers were attacked at around 4:30 a.m, which is, well, as we know, at that time of the morning, nothing good happens. And the bouncers have then chased after, 6 bouncers have chased after this particular person, have roughed him up, have physically assaulted him. He's ended up in hospital.
They stabbed him too, John.
Yeah, a bit more than roughing up. Yeah.
Yes, so it's not a good story.
But he also stabbed one of the bouncers before that.
Exactly.
Night. There's a bit of history to this, isn't there?
That's right. I think what happened was that there was an altercation that happened between the bouncers and the patrons, and they went home and then came back and stabbed one of the other bouncers. So that's what started it all. But
what we want to say, Tony, is look, these type of physical assaults, people are liable for. You could be sued for damages and reputation and lives broken, Tony.
Well, not only can you get sued for the damage, we also got criminal charges pending now.
And suing for damages, the bouncers, because the employer can say it's outside the scope of their employment, they might not be covered by the employer's insurance.
They're individually liable.
They're individually liable.
Yeah.
Don, just quickly, this is something John wanted to raise.
Yes.
John,
It's
this particular boss or employer took umbrage to the fact that one of his workers called him a complete dick.
Yes. Now, the lady, a worker, sent accidentally this text saying complete dick to her boss.
He was affronted, Don. I mean, yeah, as you would.
He was.
Now, it was supposed to go to her daughter about the employer. Unfortunately, it went accidentally to him. He summarily sacked her, and would you believe Fair Work Australia has backed him up?
And look, she did apologise. She texted straight away saying, look, I didn't mean it and all these things, but
Yeah, but
at the end of the day, it went to Fair Work.
The relationship.
Yeah, it was derogatory. It was a derogatory term.
Yeah.
So the lesson, everyone, is if you want to send that type of text, make sure you do it properly.
Maybe they shouldn't
And
have
not-
said that at all,
I don't
John.
think they
And
should
not
say
to
that.
your
It could
employer.
be circulated, John.
Well, of course,
Yeah.
and not to your employer.
Anyway, on that note, Don, thanks for coming on board.
Thank you.
Viewers, we've got to go to a sponsors break. After the break, we've got Oscar Yildiz. We're going to be talking about these big bad bullies. We're going to put a stop to it. Viewers, welcome back to the show. As I said before the break, we've got Oscar Yildiz, the CEO of the Bully Zero Foundation. Welcome back, Oscar.
Thank you. Glad to
And
be
it's
here
good to see
tonight.
we're all wearing the pin. What's the pin all about, though?
Oh, look, it's about creating awareness, Tony. And we this year we've issued almost 14,000 of these pins out, and we've issued close to 30,000 wristbands, just to create awareness, I guess, and let people know that bullying is still a serious issue in Australia.
John, before I go back to Oscar and find out a bit more about the foundation, the incidence of bullying in the workplace seems to have escalated in the last period, correct?
Yes, Tony. In the last, let's say, 5 years, awareness is out there amongst the working public that bullying in the workplace is not acceptable.
And now the courts are starting to look after the injured people, correct?
Exactly, yes.
Okay. Now, Oscar, coming back to yourself, tell us a bit about the foundation. When did it start and what is your role? What are you trying to achieve?
Look, Julia Gillard launched the foundation on the 16th of March 2013, and we were launched basically with a whole lot of parents and passionate individuals that wanted to make a difference in this space. And we're, I guess, the one-stop shop for all forms of bullying, and we tackle not just young children, we also tackle employers and employees. So we look after injured victims who've been bullied themselves. We've got a lot of parents on board who have actually lost their children to bullying, Tony. And I guess we're able to empathise and understand what's really going on. And even just as recent as last Sunday, having seen the article in the paper about a family losing a young daughter, we time and time again come across this. And I guess one of the most effective things we've been able to do is have a 1-800-0 bully hotline, which answers calls from everybody. Those who are unsure about bullying, those who aren't sure about the behaviour being, I guess, performance management or bullying, so in the workplace. But we have parents, we have teachers, we have young kids calling up the hotline to get advice and information.
Okay. John, in days gone by, look, bullying's been around for a long time.
Of course.
It's always been around.
Yes.
For some reason, maybe because it's now on this websites, on telephones and the cyberbullying,
Yes.
it seems to be relentless pressure on the poor person that's getting bullied. Is that your impression of the whole thing?
Cyberbullying, Tony, that's the new phenomenon. It's it's dangerous. It's we've got young kids, they're on the internet, they're on chat rooms, and they're getting this persistent cyberbullying, which
so
is
it's just a constant barrage and pounding.
Exactly.
Look, it's in fact the anonymous nature, and as John just pointed out, it's the fact that you can hide behind a keyboard and say things you wouldn't say to someone in a face-to-face situation, and we educate young kids about being responsible on social media. There's nothing wrong with social media. It's fantastic. It's allowed us to be engaged. It's allowed us to be connected. But in the wrong hands, those phones and that technology could be viewed as a weapon of mass destruction, and we see it. We've seen the damage that that technology has done to people's lives. To hold the hand of a mother who's lost her 14-year-old daughter because they just took a selfie and that selfie ended up on an inappropriate website is something that I guess we're here to stop, and we're here to educate kids as young as 2. In fact, there are just on 1,600,000 apps out there, and we've got kids as young as 2 that can quite easily connect onto any Wi-Fi and go in and explore, I guess, that app. And that we're finding is the pace of social media is so quick. Just quick statistics, Tony, you may not know this, but back in 1985, there was nothing in the world more powerful than the iPhone 5. So you've really got NASA at your fingertips. And back in the year 2000, 1 gigabyte was $12.40. Today, 1 gigabyte is 3 cents. 1.75 million iPhones were produced last year. So the pace of social media is so quick,
it's phenomenal.
we just can't keep up.
It's phenomenal. John, just curiously, Oscar said that you get on these social media apps,
Yes.
right, and outlets, and you type up whatever you like and send it off to whoever you like. But surely there's got to be some comeback, because every time you send a message, there's got to be a copy of that message stored somewhere. Is that correct?
Oh, it's on the hard drive. You can't delete it, Tony. Even when you delete it, it's still on the hard drive, all this information. And that's what people fail to realise, that what they're sending via a chat room, via the internet, it's on a hard drive. It can be used against you in a court of law if it's shown a persistent and repetitive abuse and bullying against a certain individual.
And the law's been amended after Brodie Panlock,
Yes.
so that if you're constantly bullying or harassing someone, you could be criminally charged.
Absolutely. In Victoria, you can go to jail for up to 10 years, but a lot of people don't realise that federally, there's also the Federal Crimes Act where if anyone does use a carriageway to menace or harass or even threaten to kill someone, you can go to jail for up to 10 years anyway. But I think people just don't understand the nature of social media, especially at work. A lot of workplaces have workplace bullying policies, but they don't have a social media policy. And just going on some statistics I was just saying before, 1 in 8 employees at work don't actually understand their social media policy. They've never seen it.
Okay.
So I think workplaces need to be conscious of the fact that they need to have a workplace bullying policy that specifically covers social media and the impact of that, and the fact that you can't slander your employer after hours or say things on social media
John,
that are inappropriate.
in the law firm that you work at, you get a lot of inquiries for bullying at work, correct?
Yes, Tony. Under the Victorian work cover legislation, everyone bullied at work has rights under the Accident Compensation Act to sue for damages, for weekly payments, for medical expenses and common law damages claims. They are very tough, but as long as you show that bullying has occurred in the workplace, that you've suffered psychological injury as a result of this bullying, you have an entitlement.
And you've also found that people are more likely to come forward, including witnesses in recent times.
In recent times, the publicity's out there. Everyone now knows bullying, the screaming at a secretary, the screaming at a fellow employee, which occurred 10 years ago, is no longer acceptable. It's no longer acceptable.
Oscar, you visit how many schools a week?
Look, we do on average about 3 schools a week.
Okay, and how many students do you actually...
Anywhere from 1,000 to 2,500, Tony, we would visit and deliver our programs to. And I guess we do have a real big cyberbullying flavour to our presentations.
Okay.
I go out to kids as young as 9 at primary schools and ask them the question, how many of you are on Kick Messenger? And all these hands come up. But the most dangerous app out there for our kids to be seduced by child predators is, in fact, the app Kick Messenger. And you need to be 17 to use that app, but we've got kids as young as 7 or 8 on that. So we go through teaching about responsible media usage, social media usage. We talk to parents as well, so we deliver parent sessions and teacher sessions as
Hold
well.
that thought. We've got to go to a sponsors break, Oscar. Viewers, stay tuned. After the break, we'll take up this discussion with Oscar Yildiz and John Karantzis. Viewers, welcome back to the show. Before the break, we were talking about the amount of times and the discussions that Oscar has with the various schools around Melbourne. John, we're talking about whether we should employ new punishments for the sort of behaviour that leads to bullying and the after effects of the bullying. What do you think's the best course of action?
It's a classic case, Tony, of the law trying to keep up with the modern times. A new cyberbullying offence should be looked at by the legislators, Tony.
But what about educating the parents as well as the children? Because I think a lot of this probably starts in the house, at home.
It does. Oh,
Does
yes,
it?
it does.
Traditionally, I've been one of these firm believers. Respect starts at home.
You're not born with the bully DNA. It's not in your blood. It's actually behaviour that's learned, and 9 times out of 10, the behaviour is learned from home. Schools don't teach bullying. Schools, teachers, I'm an ex-school teacher. I've never taught my students to go and bully someone else. So we're there to ensure that it stops, but it's definitely learned from home.
So, Oscar, just like we all say, teach your kids some respect so that they can pass it on when they're at school, it continues on. It's the same thing, isn't it? It's a lack of respect when you're not...
It is. And you know what? Kids are watching their parents up until they're 15, I would say, maybe even older. And parents need to set a good example. You need to practice what you preach. To say to someone that behaviour is poor, but yet you constantly do that or practice that same poor behaviour is not a good reflection of you. You can't expect that from your parents. And there's some great ads on TV about road rage, and that's, I guess, it does send a clear message home about our behaviour as adults. We need to have a good hard look at ourselves as well.
Yeah. John, the Bully Zero Foundation gets out to a lot of schools.
Yes.
Do you realise they get no support from the government? The government is the organisation that should be paying or actually engaging people to go out and speak to the kids at school.
Tony, I couldn't believe that the Victorian government nor the Commonwealth government provide virtually any support, any financial support to Bully Zero, an organisation that specifically deals with bullying. The only organisation in Australia specifically dealing with bullying.
We've saved 26 suicides in less than 10 months, and that is a hotline. Those lives, 26 lives, you can't put a figure on that. And to receive $50,000 just for the call centre and $27,500 over 3 years for the foundation, I think is poor. And I hope that the Andrews government does do something. And I have spoken to the Minister for Education. We need support.
Well,
we can't keep doing
Oscar,
this.
if they had to go and send someone out there to do the discussions you're doing, it'd cost them a fortune, wouldn't it?
Look, we're lucky also to have Heath Black, who's one of our trainers. It would cost a fortune, and we're saying, look, don't fund us, fund the schools that will hopefully engage us to do the training. And the parents' presentations, Tony, you mentioned that before. I say to parents when I go out and speak to them, would you allow your 5 and 8-year-old to sit at a park for 5 hours and say, here you go, we'll pick you up in 5 hours? Well, that's what some parents have done with social media because they actually don't get it. A lot of parents don't understand what apps are out there. I say to parents, do you know what Kik is? I ask them, what's Snapchat? What's Instagram? What's Tumblr? What's Chat Roulette? And parents stand there and go, what are they? Well, Ask FM is one of the most dangerous websites that anyone could be on because all kids do on that website is bully each other. Parents have never heard of that website.
Yeah, neither have I, but...
Well, there you go. And chat rooms. Most parents, 90% of parents don't understand the social media world. And we go out there and deliver that, but we cover all forms of bullying, very effective presentation. We've never had a school respond with, that was a poor presentation. They want us back, but we don't charge.
But Oscar,
we don't charge.
Bullying at school is a real problem at the moment, isn't it?
One in 5, 160,000 kids a day don't go to school in Australia because of bullying, because of that pit in the stomach feeling. 160,000, and that is a current statistic.
The foundation's starting to get quite a bit of traction because some of the people that are getting involved are WorkSafe.
Absolutely.
You've got the Essendon Footy Club, the Lynn Fox group are involved. So you've got a pretty fair group of people.
We do.
You've got business people, you've got clubs, you've got the WorkSafe, you've got lawyers.
Absolutely.
So it's got a lot of traction, hasn't it?
Look, Tony, we're lucky enough for organisations like even Nowiki where we're able to get some support. We have a charity dinner once a year, and that is our only form of really raising funds for the organisation. And without the support of those business philanthropists and those organisations that have a social responsibility, we wouldn't be in existence. So thankfully, I just
And that actual dinner's on the 19th September this year, viewers.
Yep.
So please stay tuned for that and make sure you get tickets. Ring up the foundation to get reserve your table because the tickets are selling pretty quick, even though there's 1,400 people going.
1,400 people, and we've almost sold half, and we haven't even advertised yet, so we're doing well.
And the number of people you get's just phenomenal. John, we're talking about the bullying. What about the schools? I mean, part of the discussion, or a large part of it's about schools.
Oh, yes.
The schools have got a non-delegable duty of care, which means what?
Tony, the school is responsible for providing a safe environment for not only the teachers, but also for the students.
Can a school these days turn around and say, I wasn't aware what's going on?
No.
You can't, can you?
Exactly. No.
They've got to actually inform themselves of what is happening out there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oscar, were you aware of that?
I am aware, and I went out to a school recently, and I'm sure you may have seen some exposure through 3AW where a young girl was seriously physically attacked and physically bullied.
Oh, yes.
And the thing with that case
that was an extraordinary case.
It was. But, you know, we don't, as teachers, we're not taught how, I don't think we're taught in terms of how to deal with bullying enough. As a school teacher going to university, bullying wasn't
Well, Oscar, you can't ignore it.
You can't.
You can't ignore it.
Absolutely.
You have to see what's happening and stop it.
Exactly. And as a registered teacher, I think we have a duty of care. The school has a duty of care, and you're exactly right there, John. We need to be a lot more vigilant as teachers to ensure that if that behaviour is going on and a student does approach a teacher and says, I've got an issue, we need to get on top of that straight away rather than hope that it would go away, because it doesn't go away. One-off incidents do, but if you can see some pattern of behaviour that's inappropriate, we need to get on top of it.
And sadly, in that case there, the complaints by the mother, John, went unheeded.
Unheeded, totally.
Yeah.
And so we've got a young girl that's been traumatised and could be affected, well, on a long-term basis. We hope not.
It scars.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Tell us a bit about, you got the website, you got the hotline, and donations. We want donations, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. We need support. So those viewers out there that want to donate to us, please go onto our website or just call us at our office 90943718, or our bully hotline is 1800-BULLY, and that's 24/7. So that's 1800-028-559. They can call that phone number, and we do have referral services. We've got psychologists, we've got counsellors, we've got lawyers. We also have trained teachers that are there to answer calls if they need advice.
Oscar, thanks for coming on board again. We're at the end of the show. John, as usual, thank you for coming on board.
Thank you.
Viewers, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for future episodes. Go to our Facebook and Twitter websites, and always remember to stay safe.